If you enjoy the content, I would appreciate you hitting the subscribe button and checking out my socials. Heya I'm Smirky, and Astralis seem to be actually doing good now, with their great showing at Cologne. However, during one of their games, Hawker made a pretty important and underrated comment about Astralis Ancient.
And listen, the desk was saying, this is just the map that Astralis have been picking every series, right? Like, this is not a surprise pick here. Astralis currently on a 5-win streak on Ancient, all of those at Cologne. Played it in the play-in twice, played it here 3 times. They've won all of them.
From the time of this recording, Astralis has played Ancient a total of 16 times, winning 13 of them, beating the likes of G2, but losing to them later, NIP, Mouz, NAVI and Heroic. To put into context how crazy this stat is with the number of games they've played, Astralis' win rate on Ancient is 81%, and if we look at a team like G2 on Inferno, where they've played it 16 times, their win rate is 62%, a big difference. So today, we're going to analyse Astralis' Ancient T-side and what makes it so successful. But want to get individual training and CS classes for 30 days for 50 cents on your first month?
Affirmative.
Well, thanks to today's sponsor, Gosu Academy, you can.
Yes, my friends, yes!
Gosu Academy is the CS school where you can join frequent classes hosted by various pro players and coaches. In these classes, you can submit demos in the Discord to be reviewed and critiqued by the coaches, or join them in theory sessions on a map. And I will also be hosting some of these sessions myself. On top of this, they host weekly scrims where you can jump into a 5v5 with coaches on both teams, helping you during and after the game.
Our enemies tremble.
This entire course is $29 per month, but again, you can try the course for pretty much free for 30 days by using code SMIRKY at checkout, which equates to 12 classes. Now go on and rank up. During Astralis' gun rounds, they don't always play a default on their T side. No. Roughly 55 or 65%, their default rounds will consist of a starting formation from spawn, with the intentions of the formation made clear by BlameF.
I don't have a clue what you're talking about, Phil. Not a fucking clue.
So we might see some early mid pressure, which I'll go more in detail later on, or leans either towards A or B. So what makes these spawn based calls special? Well, Astralis tend to master intentions with some sort of util on mid and a heavy lean to a site of their choice, while leaving a solo lurker on the other end ready to catch players pushing. Or if BlameF's plan A fails, plan B can be the lurker to creep onto the site. In round 20 against Heroic, we can see Astralis will use pieces of util in mid to help mask their intentions for B. Afterwards, they will throw some long util to try and bait a reaction. Thanks for the smoke, Tessus.
Dude, stop, let me go.
This minifig will make it much easier for Astralis to do their full site execute and push onto the site. However, there's a slight issue in this round.
Fucking hell.
Stair aimed a bit too high, so the smoke just went yeet, making it a bit awkward when they take the site. From watching Astralis play, I get the impression they either want to have cave or long control for the afterplant. But because of this, and the CTs delaying them, they won't have that much control in the afterplant as their smokes will fade. So they will use their backup plan with their lurker and BlameF on the other side of the map to help rotate to A. BlameF is going to be around elbow, making sure CTs can't push his team. Afterwards he will go clear main while his teammates push through donut, later getting the bomb down and winning the round. In round 13 against Nade, they will try something similar, where they use these smokes against Nade, denying vision and making it seem like they're coming out. With this fake established by BlameF, the mid player, the rest of the squad will go straight for their full site execute. It's also worth noting I will explain why Astralis do these mini fakes in the what's real section of the video, and it's crucial for these early leans to work, so don't click off. During the execute, the kills favour Astralis. However, again, they can't get long control because of their smokes, and Simple is inside of cave. But look at that, BlameF is in CT.
What?
BlameF, being that lurker on the extremities, crept his way onto A a few seconds after his squad was on B site. Unlike a previous video of mine where I pointed out some of BlameF's lurks which was not good. But is it me or is there someone missing from this? This lurk from BlameF is completely useless and has no impact during the lead up to their execute or once it's done. This one and his lurks in general are pretty good. This lurk is timed perfectly with bits rotation. It's not done too late in the round so it's not pointless, and actually helps the team rather it being for individual kills. So with BlameF being sneaky beaky like, the remaining B players can rotate through T spawn to A, meanwhile BlameF is hiding CT, ready to punish NAVI if they try to rotate. But they decide to save. Moving to the opposite side of the map, Astralis has done stuff similar to the previous rounds I mentioned, but a really sick call by BlameF was round 22 against Heroic. In this game, Heroic have been conditioned with mid quite a bit. So, Heroic are going to change it up and try to keep hold of it and have that information. I believe BlameF knew he conditioned mid pretty well, so he will run this strategy, hoping Heroic bites on it long enough for Astralis to be on A site. He throws some fake mid util, getting the CTs to keep their attention on elbow. Meanwhile you have Stair doing something similar with B. Just like a magician, BlameF will use the power of misdirection to show some cool tricks in one hand, where actually the real magic is happening in the other. While the donut smoke is landing, Astralis are contacting our main, boosting, then pop flashing. This set piece will allow Buzz to quickly get into donut through A, hunting for any CTs trying to defend the site. Meanwhile, the rest of his main players do get smoked out. I will say it does help Shush wasn't on the site, but there is a good chance he would have been caught out with the boost and or the flashes. With Buzz holding such an important piece of map control for A, they quickly do a full execute and get the bomb down. And even if the plan fails on A, you have plan B, literally. In round 23, BlameF makes the call to fast execute onto A with some mid presence. Sadly, the mid util doesn't keep Heroic on mid, and the execute gets stopped by the single smoke. So Astralis will make the responsible call in cancelling, to avoid them running through a smoke, and the plan is now to go B. You can see Borp and Stair will think about going through spawn, which is safer, but they will opt to turn back to go through elbow into heaven to B. I believe they do this to see if Device can get an opening in mid. And once they're done with mid, they can sandwich the lane together, which they do as BlameF finds Stan in this corner. With their setup being a 1-0-4 now, Buzz is still behind on A to make sure they have plays on the extremities. And this look will aid Astralis a lot as he's able to create a small fake with his rifle and util. Meanwhile, 3 of the Danes suddenly run out of cave trying to catch the timing on the CT's rotations. On top of their sight lanes, BlameF's Astralis has quite a few ways to pressure mid to gain control, reduce information, or deal damage. One of their deadliest methods of mid pressure is their early rushes. Astralis will use well placed pieces of util to blind, remove sight lines, and force CTs into the open. In round 14 against NAVI, we can see Astralis will run their mid take, extinguishing the CT's melee, and getting the opening onto him, going through the smoke with no flash. Once they get mid control, Astralis will typically try to create some sort of space. A common reaction for them is if they kill the donut player, they will try and get players to sneak in. Against NAVI, we can see when Astralis gets that aim kill, they creep their way into Donut, under Navi's nose, and well, they paint the wall red with Simple's head.
Sent me a message first, yeah? I live in Smethwick, Birmingham, if you want the...
This will lead them to get the rest of the players to come here and get the bomb down. This reaction is very deadly for the entire map. Wanna know why?
No, but thank you for asking.
Ancient is similar to Mirage in the sense that there are so many different avenues the Ts could enter if a CT dies. If a gap in the defense is open, it will force some sort of reaction from the CT side. Else, they will have no information about where the Ts are. These reactions may come in the form of pushes, which BlameF can abuse. Against Heroic, we will see something similar against Nade, where they will take mid, and BlameF will get shushed through the smoke. Borup will take advantage of this by sneaking into Donut. Now Heroic has a big problem. There is a gap in their defense they need to fill. So, as a reaction, they will try to push something, in this case, mid. So let's see how it goes.
How about new?
Astralis, expecting a play like this to happen, sits in a passive setup, watching all key areas of the map, ready for Heroic, who is known as a proactive team, for their reaction. At this point, BlameF makes the call to go A, thinking that's the easier to get the bomb down with the 2 kills, and they later win the afterplant. And in the scenario Astralis doesn't get an opening in mid, they may try to look for something, like in round 5 against Mouz, where BlameF will get close, Borup will flash him in, Device will molly this corner, and BlameF will look for an opening. Another aspect I want to quickly look over is their mid-Nade stacks. Astralis will use these mid-Nade stacks typically on their defaults, or perhaps to quickly fake mid presence before grouping to a bomb site. Our first nade stack is designed to catch players running straight down mid. To do these nades, you just need to wait for like a second and then bounce it off this part of the wall. These nades will do some juicy damage to Yabe coming down mid. Another stack we have is for players trying to go donut. With these nades, you want to do it as soon as possible, and to do it, the first player needs to get next to this corner, aim here, and jump throw, and the second player just stands next to him, aiming at a similar spot and jump throwing. And don't worry, these lineups are very lenient. What I love about these nades is the fact they can bring such an unfair advantage for your T sides. Think of it like this: you have house smoked off, so CTs can't play there. Astralis may molly cubby, so that's a no-go. So what's left? Either you can go down donut and get hit in the air, or you can run down mid to catch Ts running through the smoke, but be left seriously wounded. These two CT options gives Astralis a 50% chance to destroy a CT's HP at the start of the round on defaults or rounds where they created mid presence. With all these ideas and different ways of working the map, what happens when BlameF calls to do some fakes? We've already seen Astralis do some fakes for misdirection during the video, but I want to look at it in more detail. On B, they do this the most and the best, but they do this in other places on the map. Astralis will either smoke long, or smoke short and molly pillar. And actually, the short util will typically be used to bait CTs into peeking long, where devices are watching. So what's the point in these fakes? 1, it's used to bait util from CTs, so let's say you want to do an execute later, you should be met with less resistance. 2, it will confuse and delay the rotations. As we can see in round 13 against Nade, Astralis threw some smokes to deny Navi's vision and suddenly did a full site execute. I believe IM would have rotated a bit sooner if there was nothing mid. Thirdly, and most importantly, it's used to condition the CTs. If the CTs see a smoke landing consistently and nothing happens afterwards, they will become less reactive for when Astralis do execute, creating a shot factor of, oh, they're actually executing this time. And going off track for a second, this reminds me of the stuff that Karrigan's mouse bots used to do on train, where they consistently throw E-box and sandwich smokes to reduce CT information, but also use the exact same smokes to lurk out to get into some nasty positions, or do a full set execute and surprise the CTs with their limited info. When we put all these different elements together with mid pressure, heavy side leans, different starting formations, sneaky lurks, and fakes, what we get is Astralis' ideology for Ancient. A map where they can condition teams with fake util to misdirect the CTs, allowing the Danes to hide their intentions behind their util, to get set up for full site executes, and of course have a backup plan ready on the other side of the map just in case. You could spice up your CT Inferno with some mid takes. Check out this video I did where I showcase how Cloud9 was able to surprise and catch Vitality multiple times with their pushes. Apart from that, thanks for watching, cheers goes to you for the sponsor, and see ya in a bit.